What's going on, everybody? It's the Bull Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be discussing one more player in relation to the free agency period. Now, obviously, free agency starts very soon, and the Chicago Bulls will have a lot of decisions to make. But I feel like a lot of people have mentioned this player to me, and I feel like at this point in time, he's becoming more and more likely that he could be a possibility for the Chicago Bulls. He's a backup center, ladies and gentlemen. At least I think he would be on this team. And today, I want to talk about Isaiah Hartenstein from the Los Angeles Clippers. He will be, I believe, a unrestricted free agent. Again, I will have to double check that. But all in all, a very good center, ladies and gentlemen. A solid selection, in my opinion. And someone that I think could do a very decent job. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bull Show. Turn notifications on and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and whether or not we could bring this player in. Do you think it will be a cheap deal? I think that's why many people are attracted towards him, because we can see that he could be a relatively cheap player. Also, do you think that he would fit that backup center role perfectly? We'll talk all about that in this video. But first, we got to check his statistics, ladies and gentlemen. Looking at his last season for the Los Angeles Clippers, he was bouncing around the league a little bit as well prior to that. But of course, his last season was with the LA Clippers. Playing 68 games, ladies and gentlemen. Very durable, in my opinion. Points per game was 8.3, 4.9 rebounds, 2.4 assists, shooting 62.6% from the field and 46.7% from the three-point line. That three-point line is actually I'm actually a little bit surprised at that percentage, but obviously you got to look at how many attempts he had, and he had 0.4. So obviously not really the greatest three-point shooter, but does have a little bit of an offensive game to him, ladies and gentlemen. And I think for a backup center, we mainly need rim protection and defense. We need someone that's going to be a big body in the paint. I feel like this guy can suit that role a little bit. At the end of the day, he is a 7-foot player. He's around 250 pounds. He's a very strong body. Someone that could probably set a little bit of good screens. And I think he had a very good year at the end of the day as well. I think at the age of 24, he could potentially be a player that the Chicago Bulls will be looking at. If you're looking at the rim protection side of things, ladies and gentlemen, he averaged 1.1 blocks per game. So, again, he's very similar to the players that we've already talked about, in all honesty. We've talked a lot about Mo Bamba. We've talked a lot about Mitchell Robinson. We talked about probably some cheaper options and maybe seen as a little bit unrealistic in terms of Nicholas Claxton, Moses Brown. I think Isaiah Hartenstein is well into that mix, ladies and gentlemen. And at the end of the day, his actual situation right now is more likely for him to leave the Los Angeles Clippers than remain there. First things first, obviously we have to discuss John Wall joining, or I guess, I don't know if it's official yet, but he will be joining the Los Angeles Clippers after working out a buyout with the Houston Rockets. So I think that's a great move for, obviously, the Clippers. I think John Wall fits their team perfectly, and I think it's a good signing for them. But that does put a lot of pressure on them if they want to bring back a player like Isaiah Hartenstein. Now, he is going to be an unrestricted free agent in 2022, which means in a few short hours, the Chicago Bulls might be able to get this player relatively cheap. Because we have a lot of centers out there that are either restricted free agents or unrestricted free agents, there's going to be a lot of moves in terms of the center position. So no matter which direction we go for, I think the best thing about this for the Bulls is that there's a lot of variety there. We could go for a Mitchell Robinson in restricted free agency. We could go for Mo Bamba in restricted free agency. We can go for a lot of other guys that probably are likely to stay on their team but are unrestricted free agents. We could try to lure them in to the Chicago Bulls. And obviously Isaiah Hartenstein with the, I guess, most likely not remaining on the Los Angeles Clippers. I think we could get this guy, and with all the centers out there, he's probably going to be one of the cheaper ones in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen. So with all that being said, with Isaiah Hartenstein, would you take him on the Chicago Bulls? I think, in my opinion, I personally, my first choice would be Mitchell Robinson. At the end of the day, Rudy Gobert is a great player, but I feel like it's leading towards it's just not going to happen at this point. But obviously, you never know. And I think Mitchell Robinson is a great player. I think he brings more of that rim protection that we need compared to other players that we've talked about. And I do feel like he has a little bit of that paint dominance in him. Now, injuries and all of that aside, his free throw percentage all aside, I think Isaiah Hartenstein is right up there with Mitchell Robinson in my opinion. I would be perfectly fine with bringing Isaiah Hartenstein into the Chicago Bulls team. I think he does have a much more offensive game compared to Mitchell Robinson, but I think Mitchell Robinson brings a little bit more of that defensive game that we would need off the bench compared to Isaiah Hartenstein. That's personally what I believe. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments below. But do the Bulls say this is the guy that we're going to pick with the backup center position? If he's going to be the guy that helps stabilize that position and bring what we need from that position, I'm A-okay with this type of move. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, expect the unexpected. The Bulls always seem to do something unexpected. We saw it in the draft. We saw it last year. We saw it a couple of years ago as well with Vucevic. We'll most likely see it again in this free agency period. The players that you don't necessarily hear about or talk about could potentially be a move that the Chicago Bulls decide to pursue. So let's wait and see. Big hours ahead, ladies and gentlemen, but I would definitely like Isaiah Hartenstein on this team if that is the player the Bulls want to pursue. All that being said, I'm going to end this video here. I feel like I had to make this video because so many people from my friends to the comments section have been suggesting that we should get Isaiah Hartenstein, and I want to kind of give my 2 cents on the situation. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. There could be a very good chance you see a lot of videos from me very soon, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, free agency is a big time for the Bulls community, Bulls fans, and we're excited to see what our future will be. And of course, I'm sure we'll be very active from the very beginning, and hopefully we can continue making this team better for the long term. Have a wonderful and safe day. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.